To those children all over the world who have no access to education. To those teachers who bravely continue teaching. And to anyone who has fought for their basic human rights and education. Prologue. It was the most ordinary of days. I was 15, in grade 9, and I'd stayed up far too late the night before, studying for an exam. I'd already heard the rooster crow at dawn, but had fallen back to sleep. I'd heard the morning call to prayer from the mosque nearby, but managed to hide under my quilt, and I'd pretended not to hear my father come to wake me. Then my mother came and gently shook my shoulder. "Wake up, Pisho," she said, calling me kitten in Pashto, the language of the Pashtun people. "It's 7:30 and you're late for school." I had an exam on Pakistani studies, so I said a quick prayer to God. "If it is your will, may I please come in first?" I whispered. "Oh, and thank you for all my success so far." I gulped down a bit of fried egg and chapati with my tea. My youngest brother, Atal, was in an especially cheeky mood that morning. He was complaining about all the attention I'd received for speaking out about girls getting the same education as boys, and my father teased him a little at the breakfast table. "When Malala is Prime Minister someday, you can be her secretary," he said. Atal, the little clown in the family, pretended to be cross. "No," he cried, "she will be my secretary." All this banter nearly made me late, and I raced out the door, my half-eaten breakfast still on the table. I ran down the lane just in time to see the school bus crammed with other girls on their way to school. I jumped in that Tuesday morning and never looked back at my home. The ride to school was quick, just 5 minutes up the road and along the river. I arrived on time, and exam day passed as it always did. The chaos of Mingora city surrounded us with its honking horns and factory noises while we worked silently, bent over our papers in hushed concentration. By day's end, I was tired but happy. I knew I'd done well on my test. "Let's stay on for the second trip," said Muniba, my best friend. "That way we can chat a little longer." We always liked to stay on for the late pickup. When our bus was called, we ran down the steps. As usual, Muniba and the other girls covered their heads and faces before we stepped outside the gate and got into the waiting dinner, the white truck that was our Kushal school bus. And as usual, our driver was ready with a magic trick to amuse us. That day, he made a pebble disappear. No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't figure out his secret. We piled inside, 20 girls and 2 teachers, crammed into the 3 rows of benches, stretching down the length of the dinner. It was hot and sticky, and there were no windows, just a yellowed plastic sheet that flapped against the side as we bounced along Mingora's crowded, rush-hour streets. Haji Baba Road was a jumble of brightly colored rickshaws, women in flowing robes, men on scooters honking and zigzagging through the traffic. We passed a shopkeeper butchering chickens, a boy selling ice cream cones, a billboard for Dr. Humayun's Hair Transplant Institute. Muniba and I were deep in conversation. I had many friends, but she was the friend of my heart, the one with whom I shared everything. That day, when we were talking about who would get the highest marks this term, one of the other girls started a song, and the rest of us joined in. Just after we passed the Little Giant snack factory and the bend in the road, not more than 3 minutes from my house, the van slowed to a halt. It was oddly quiet outside. "It's so calm today," I said to Muniba. "Where are all the people?" I don't remember anything after that, but here's the story that's been told to me. 2 young men in white robes stepped in front of our truck. "Is this the Kushal school bus?" one of them asked. The driver laughed.